Hi there guys, welcome to Cognicology. My name is Chris and today I'm going to present this video on how to mind cluster and how to use mind clustering effectively to unclutter your brain. Mind clustering is something that I've written about before on Cognicology. To put it briefly, mind clustering is a brain dumping technique that you can implement to help organise and unclutter your mind. It is a great way to get rid of that nagging feeling of unfinished tasks from the back of your mind, and as well as this, it gives you a pretty neat and organised to-do list. So this video is more of a tutorial or a practical demonstration of mind clustering. If you want to know more about the mind clustering concept and are viewing this video through our YouTube channel, follow the link to the original mind clustering article in the more info section to the right. If you're watching this video through the Cognicology website, you can find links to the written article below in the video blurb. So without further ado, let's get started on making a mind cluster. First things first, let's talk about materials. Doing a mind cluster is really simple and only requires a small number of items. The first item you need to grab is something to write with. Now, you probably guessed it, but the second item you need is something that you can write on. As you can see here, I'm a bit of a fan of using markers and whiteboards. I even have a whiteboard set up in my home office that I regularly use for drawing diagrams, mind clusters, etc. You may be more of a pen and paper person. That's fine. Use whichever medium you're most comfortable with. Now the final and arguably most important item to bring along is something to dump from, your brain. So now that we have our three essential items, let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is to brainstorm and shortlist the different aspects of your life for which you have a number of tasks. I usually find that I can come up with about 4 to 6 solid categories, depending on how busy I am at the time. So to lead by example, let's start to populate our cluster space with a bunch of anchors that represent busy aspects of my life. So the first one we're going to put down is Cognicology. I'm also writing a book chapter for my studies at the moment, and I have some social commitments, administrivia, which is a term that I use for sundry admin stuff, as well as some home duties that I need to perform. So as you can see, I've scattered the different facets of my workload around my cluster space, leaving plenty of room between the anchors. I've also put a circle around the aspect to differentiate between categories and actual tasks. Now once you've defined your categories, it is time to start dumping your odd jobs, tasks, deadlines, etc. onto the sheet, attaching them to the most relevant category. Put down any and all jobs that you have to do, no matter how tiny or large it may seem to be. The idea here is to allow yourself to purge all of these nagging jobs from your head and put them somewhere that you can view at any time and will help you keep track of your progress through these tasks. So we have all of our categories, let's start adding some tasks. So looking at the Cognicology task category as an example, let's start adding some tasks there that I need to perform. So something I need to do is I need to finish the mind clustering video that I'm preparing. I also need to update some traffic monitoring code. I also need to email Albors about a camera which we need to use for some filming. You're starting to get the idea here, and as you can see I've got a few other tasks such as setting up YouTube accounts, following up interview requests, etc. Now obviously not all tasks are created equal. Some tasks are more important than others, as well as some tasks also lead on from one another. They're ordered. With this in mind, you may wish to prioritise your task for a particular category. There are a few strategies for how to do this, and the strategy you use for a particular category will depend on the type and number of tasks that you have for it. Two of the strategies that I commonly use are flagging and ordering. Now, sometimes there may only be 1 or 2 urgent tasks on the group for a particular category. In this case, I'll use flagging and place a marker or a flag next to the tag using an asterisk. So, for an example here, set up our YouTube account might be a heavily important task, so I will flag it with an asterisk so that I know that this task has a degree of urgency. Alternatively, there might be a few important tasks that have a degree of order, so in this case I may, instead of using an asterisk, decide to number them instead. How you prioritise your mind cluster will depend entirely on your preferences. You may wish to take on one or both of my strategies, or even invent your own. So now that we've populated our Cognicology category, we can zoom back out and look at the entire cluster space. So following the same concepts that we used, we can start dumping our pending tasks and jobs to this cluster space. So you can see here that I'm jotting down tasks as they come to me, attaching them to the most relevant category. You may also notice that I'm flagging some events as urgent as I go. Now, after dumping down all the ideas, I may decide to go through the page and further prioritise the jobs. Something to note here, don't spend too much time in deciding which tasks to put in which category. Just put them in the one that comes first to mind. You can always rearrange the list later. Remember, the idea here is to get the thoughts out of your head and onto the paper with a degree of organisation. It doesn't need to be exact. So cool, we've just successfully created a mind cluster of the current jobs and tasks that I need to do. Now, the most satisfying part of a mind cluster is being able to cross off jobs. As you complete your jobs, put a line through the task on your cluster map to show that you've completed the job and no longer need to worry about it. Crossing out task after task from a busy mind cluster can be an extremely satisfying task. So that concludes the mind clustering video. Again, if you would like to read up more about the mind clustering concept, please follow the link to the original article to the right for our YouTube viewers, and the link to the video blog below if you're watching this at cognicology.com. Thanks for watching.